Welcome to the AdExpert Podcast.
It is great to be here.
Today, we are diving deep into a topic that I think keeps a lot of business owners up at night. It's that sinking feeling you get when you look at your bank account after a big marketing push.
Yeah.
You need to be online, you have to grow, but every time you approve a budget, it feels a little bit like you're walking into a casino, just, putting it all on red and praying.
The slot machine method of business growth. It's stressful, and usually the house wins.
Exactly. So to get us out of the casino and back into the boardroom, we are unpacking a really timely guide. It's titled Sustainable Growth Through Disciplined Digital Strategy.
And it was just released today, February 11th, 2026, by Sam Ashrafi.
Right. And just to set the stage here, who is Sam Ashrafi?
So Sam is the founder and marketing strategist at AdExpert. They're a Los Angeles-based online marketing and web development agency, and they've been in the LA market for over a decade.
Which is, that's arguably one of the most competitive digital landscapes on the entire planet.
For sure.
So this isn't like theory from a textbook. This is battle-tested stuff.
Yeah.
And what I love about this guide right off the bat is the title, Disciplined Digital Strategy. It doesn't say explosive viral hacks or anything like that. It says discipline.
And that is the core differentiator here. The whole premise of this source material is that most businesses aren't failing because, say, Facebook ads don't work or SEO is dead.
Right.
They're failing because they lack discipline. They're just guessing.
Guessing seems to be the real enemy of profit in this text.
It is. The guide argues that fast and aggressive without data is just expensive and reckless. So the mission for us in this deep dive is really to explore the alternative. This whole data-driven mindset. That allows you to create a winning strategy specifically without setting your budget on fire. We're going to look at how to stop bleeding cash and actually start seeing returns.
I'm all for stopping the bleeding.
Yeah.
So let's start at the very foundation. The guide asks a question that sounds simple, but I have a feeling the answer is pretty complex. What actually is a digital strategy?
Right.
Because if you ask 10 business owners, you get 10 different answers. And usually it's something like, oh, I post on Instagram sometimes.
And AdExpert is very clear on this.
Yep.
That is not a strategy. They call that random action.
Random action. Ouch. That stings a little.
It should. According to the text, a real strategy is a cohesive plan that connects 4 specific things: your goals, your channels, your budget, and your performance tracking.
Okay, so 4 pillars.
Right. If those 4 aren't talking to each other, you don't have a strategy. You just have a to-do list that costs money.
It's the difference between building a house with a blueprint versus just, nailing boards together and hoping it looks like a roof.
Exactly. And the guide says this lack of connection is why budgets just spiral out of control. You spend money on ads that don't lead to a good landing page, or you chase traffic that doesn't care about your product. So, step 1 is clear goals.
This seems so obvious, right? Like, I don't want to make money. Isn't that always the goal?
You'd think so, but the guide gets really granular here. It says you have to define what success looks like before you spend a single dime. Is it leads? Is it direct sales? Or is it just brand awareness?
Does that distinction really change the strategy that much?
Oh, completely. Let's say you're a local service business in LA, maybe a high-end contractor.
Yeah.
You need leads. You need the phone to ring.
Okay.
If your strategy is just optimized for engagement,
Yeah.
so getting likes on photos of kitchens, you might feel great because your phone's buzzing with Instagram notifications. But if your actual office phone isn't ringing with new clients, you're failing.
And you're paying for those likes.
Yeah.
You're basically paying for dopamine, not revenue.
Precisely.
Oh.
Clarity prevents that mismatch. If you know you need leads, every dollar goes toward lead generation, not vanity metrics.
Okay, so we know what we want. Step 2 of the guide is about customer pain points. Now, usually we talk about pain points in terms of copywriting, but AdExpert frames this as a financial issue, a way to save money. How does that work?
This is one of the smartest takeaways in the whole document. The argument is that relevance is efficiency.
Efficiency in ad spend.
Yes! Think about it. If your message is super generic, we are the best agency in LA, you have to spend a fortune just to get people to pay attention. You're shouting in a crowded room.
Right.
But if your message speaks directly to a specific problem, a pain point, that's keeping your customer awake at night, you don't have to shout. You just have to whisper.
Because they're already listening. They're already looking for the solution.
The text says it explicitly. When messaging speaks directly to pain points, campaigns perform better and cost less. If I have a migraine and you whisper, I can stop the pain, I'm listening. You don't need a Super Bowl ad to get my attention.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So focusing on the customer's problem isn't just a nice to have, it's an actual budget protection strategy.
Exactly. It lowers your cost per acquisition. So before you increase your budget, increase your relevance.
All right, so we have our goals, we have a message that hits a nerve. Now we have to actually get it out there. This leads us to the data-driven approach. The guide mentions using data from day one.
And from day one is the key phrase. Most people treat data as an autopsy.
An autopsy?
Yeah. They run the campaign, it fails, it dies, and then they look at the data to figure out the cause of death.
That sounds familiar.
AdExpert's methodology is totally different. They use past data, competitor analysis, and market trends to build the strategy before you even launch.
So you're not guessing what might work. You're looking at what's already working out there in the market.
It's all about risk mitigation. And this leads to a section on channel selection that I think trips up a lot of ambitious entrepreneurs. I call it the not everywhere rule.
Oh, I know this trap, the FOMO trap. You see a competitor on TikTok, so you panic and start learning a dance. Then you see them on Threads, so you rush over there.
And suddenly, you're mediocre on 5 platforms instead of being excellent on one. The guide's advice is clear. Choose the right digital channels carefully. Trying to be everywhere is just the fastest way to drain a budget with 0 results.
So how do you choose, especially in a market like Los Angeles where trends shift so fast?
You have to focus on where your specific audience actually is. If you sell B2B software, your audience is probably on LinkedIn or searching on Google. They're probably not looking for enterprise solutions on TikTok at 2 in the morning.
Probably not.
The advice is to pick the high-impact channels and just ignore the noise.
But, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, how do you know for sure without trying? I mean, what if your audience really is on TikTok?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And AdExpert's answer to that is the test before scaling method.
Walk us through that.
It's all about discipline.
Yeah.
You don't just throw your whole budget at a brand new idea. You start small, you run micro tests. Maybe you spend, a few $100s to test a specific message or a specific audience.
So you're paying a small fee to basically verify your hypothesis.
Exactly. If the test fails, you lost a tiny fraction of the budget. You learned what doesn't work, and you learned it cheaply. But if the test shows promise, if the data says yes, then, and only then, do you scale up the spend?
It sounds so logical, but it's hard to do in practice. We all want that big launch energy. You want to flip the switch and see the sales pour in.
And that's that gambling mentality creeping back in, Testing is the disciplined investor mentality.
Let's talk about keeping that investment safe. Section 3. Controlling the spend. Because paid ads, they are unforgiving. The algorithms will eat your credit card limit in an hour if you let them.
They absolutely will. The tactical advice here is very specific. Obviously, you set limits. But the guide really emphasizes the frequency of monitoring. It says you need to monitor performance weekly, not monthly.
Weekly? That feels like a lot of meetings.
Well, in the digital world, a month is an eternity. AdExpert warns against that whole set it and forget it mindset. If you launch a campaign on the 1st and it stops performing on the 5th, but you don't check the report until the 30th.
You've just paid for 25 days of nothing.
Correct. That's wasted budget you can never get back. By checking weekly or even more often for high-spend campaigns, you can spot the drop-off and stop the bleeding immediately.
This connects really well to something I saw in the About Us source for AdExpert. They talk a lot about real-time marketing insights and having a bird's eye view.
That's what they call the AdExpert edge. It's all about live tracking. They don't just hand you a PDF at the end of the month. They give you the ability to make decisions on the fly.
And why is that bird's eye view so important?
Because your marketing is an ecosystem. Your Facebook ad leads to your website leads to your email list. If one link in that chain breaks, say your landing page is loading too slowly, your ads become worthless almost instantly. Live tracking lets you see exactly where that bottleneck is so you can fix it today, not next month.
It's the difference between flying a plane with instruments versus flying blind and hoping you don't hit a mountain.
And in a market as competitive as Los Angeles, you cannot afford to fly blind. You have to be agile.
Let's open up the toolkit a bit. We've talked strategy, but what tools are they using to actually execute this? The guide mentions AI. Now, I feel like I have to brace myself every time I hear AI these days because it's just such a buzzword.
It is a buzzword, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're using it for the heavy lifting. The guide lists specific uses. AI-powered customer targeting and advanced analytics. They're not just using it to write funny tweets, they're using it to find patterns.
Patterns in the data.
Right. Humans are not great at looking at, say, 10,000 rows of data and spotting a subtle trend. AI is incredible at it. It can see that, customers who click on Tuesday mornings and view the pricing page are 40% more likely to buy if we send them this specific email.
So that's that optimization they talk about, really tailoring the experience based on behavior.
Exactly. It allows for that customized online marketing that sets you apart from the competitor who's just blasting the same message to everyone.
But it's not all robots and algorithms. There's a section in the source called Boosting Your Online Visibility that focuses heavily on copywriting and SEO. And there's a phrase here I want to unpack: precise copywriting.
This is where art meets science. It's not just about writing something that sounds poetic. It has to meet Google's algorithmic requirements.
We're talking about semantic keywords.
We are, and don't let the jargon scare you.
It does sound like I need a linguistics degree.
It's simpler than it sounds. In the old days of SEO, if you sold pizza, you just wrote the word pizza 50 times on your page. It was awful to read, but it worked.
Right.
Today, Google is way smarter. Semantic just means Google understands context.
So it knows that cheese, crust, delivery, and oven are all related to pizza.
Exactly. So precise copywriting means weaving those related concepts, those high search phrases, into your text naturally. It signals to Google that you're an authority on the topic, not just a keyword stuffer.
And the payoff for this is ranking higher on search results, right?
Which is the holy grail of saving your budget. Organic traffic is free. If you can rank #1 for your service in LA, you can dial back your ad spend because customers are finding you naturally. That is true sustainability.
I think it's important we talk about the credibility behind this advice. We've been quoting the guide, but who is actually steering the ship over at AdExpert?
So the source material introduces us to a couple key figures. First, there's the author of the guide we've been talking about, Sam Ashrafai. He's the founder and marketing strategist.
And he's focused specifically on the LA market.
Yes, over a decade of experience in local and e-commerce marketing. And that local distinction really matters. Marketing to a global audience is very different from trying to capture a specific area like Los Angeles.
I can only imagine the competition density in LA is just off the charts.
It's fierce. If you can survive and thrive there for a decade, your strategies are definitely battle-tested.
And who else is on the team?
The source also highlights Ehsan Nabavadi. He's their expert in SEO and professional analytics. And the text mentions he is just dedicated to staying up to date with all the industry trends.
Which, given how often Google changes its rules, is basically a full-time job in itself.
It is. But having that specialized expertise, someone focused just on the technical side, it balances out the strategic vision. You have the big picture strategy from Sam and the technical precision from Ehsan.
And I noticed the About Us section emphasizes their commitment to long-term partnerships. They talk about their test A/B research approach. Feels like they position themselves more as scientists or partners, not just a vendor you hire for a month.
That's the vibe, yeah. They aren't looking for a quick flip. A/B testing is a process of refinement. It basically admits we don't know the perfect answer yet, but we will find it through testing. That requires a long-term view.
So let's just recap the formula here. A winning strategy without overspending. Step 1, clear goals to avoid vanity metrics. Step 2, hit customer pain points to increase efficiency.
Right.
Step 3, be ruthless about channel selection. Don't be everywhere. Step 4, monitor weekly to stop the leaks. And step 5, use AI and SEO to get that competitive edge.
That is the discipline path. It moves you from anxiety to clarity.
Now, before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. It was sort of tucked away in the FAQ section of the source material, but I think it might be the most important concept for anyone struggling with patience. It's called the 7-11-4 rule.
I'm so glad you pulled that out. It's such a brilliant way to visualize the customer journey.
Let's break down the math. 7-11-4, what does it mean?
So this rule states that for a customer to feel comfortable enough to actually make a buying decision, they typically need 3 things. First, 7 hours of exposure to your brand.
7 hours. That sounds like a marriage, not a marketing campaign.
It feels like it. But that includes everything. Reading your blog posts, watching your videos, maybe listening to this, scrolling your social feed. It all adds up.
Okay, so 7 hours. What's the 11?
11 touch points. They need to bump into your brand 11 different times.
And the 4?
4 different locations. So they need to see you in different contexts. Maybe they see an ad on Instagram, then they get an email, then they see a YouTube video, then they visit your website.
So what does this rule tell us about the business owner who runs an ad on Monday and then quits on Wednesday because it didn't work?
It tells us they quit way too early. They probably had, 15 minutes of exposure and maybe 2 touch points? They were nowhere near the threshold of trust that's required for a sale.
That is such a powerful perspective shift. It changes marketing from a transaction into a relationship.
Yeah.
You're not failing. You're just, building up your hours.
Exactly. And that is why the disciplined execution AdExpert talks about is the only way to win. You have to stay in the game long enough to hit those numbers. If you burn your budget on some get-rich-quick scheme, you'll never reach hour 7.
Well, there you have it. A masterclass in creating a winning digital strategy without losing your shirt. I want to thank you all for joining the AdExpert Podcast today.
It was a pleasure to unpack all this.
Hopefully you're walking away with a little less anxiety about your marketing budget and a lot more discipline. As you go about your week, think about your own touch points. Are you rushing the relationship, or are you putting in the hours? Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.